and I'm the founder of the American Influencer Council. From Instagram in-app shopping to in-app TikTok live shopping to YouTube creator subscriptions, social commerce is sophisticated and seamless. However, creators are diversifying their revenue streams, realizing that there are more ways to optimize their income. So we are going to be diving in that today, and I would love to introduce you to some of my favorite digital media entrepreneurs who are capitalizing on this trend, and I will let them introduce themselves.
Thanks, Qianna. Hi, everyone. I'm Aliza Licht. I'm the founder and president of Leave Your Mark LLC, which is a couple of things. One, it's a creative brand marketing and digital strategy consultancy. Two, it's a book. Three, it's a podcast, and soon to be actually an online course. And I'm also on the board of the AIC course.
Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
How you guys doing? My name is Erick Hercules. I'm the Secretary General. I'm a fine art and commercial photographer for a living, known for my non-Photoshop levitation photography. I own a social visual and branding agency called Hercules New York and a B2B agency called In Common. I'm excited to be here.
I'm Lisa DiCicco Cahue. I am an influencer and content creator. I'm currently living in Miami, in the sunny Miami.
Don't make us jealous, girl.
And loving life. So I'm a full-time mama and content creator. And I have a background in fashion. I studied at FIT, fashion merchandising. So I've been around the world and back, but currently loving life as a content creator.
Amazing. So happy to have you guys to sort of end the influencer social media track. So I'm going to start it off with you, Aliza. Consumers trust creators they follow for product recommendations, but those recommendations don't need to be limited to social media platforms, as we know. As a best-selling author, Leave Your Mark, a book I love, a podcaster who advertisers, and a career mentor who holds private group sessions. Tell us a little bit about when you realized the importance of tapping into high growth markets to, distribute your content and your services.
Yeah, so first of all, my favorite word is multi-hyphenate. So I think that, I started on digital back in 2009 when I had created DK My PR Girl, which was one of the first examples of sort of fashion influencer in the space. And I think what everyone has realized is the point of building community and an audience is to extrapolate that into other areas. One of the things that I'm really most passionate about now is owning audience, right? So if you build an audience on Instagram, or you build it on Twitter, or you build it on TikTok, you're essentially renting that audience from the platform unless you turn it into other avenues of revenue. So whether it's that you're collecting emails and you're starting, a newsletter, or you're going to turn your expertise, like Lisa's going to, write a book on how to become an influencer. Or like Erick's going to sell his prints online. So there's a lot of different ways to sort of build it out. And all of these things are an and, not an or. They all have to cross-pollinate, and they all have to help build and support the overarching brand.
I love that you said it's not an and or an or, because the platforms provide a great way to build community, and it's one very important part of a creator's business. And then your owned channels, your blog, whether you have app service, your newsletter, all of that is also really important too. And so that just goes into another point of just like thinking about social commerce. The platforms are really upping the ante there. And as a creator, I think it's also something for you to think about too, as you grow your business. What are ways I can also, expand my business model? And I'm going to throw this question over to Erick. As a photographer, your community can support your content well beyond Instagram, YouTube, you can sell prints. As she mentioned, you know, Society 6 is a platform creators love. And that's an online marketplace if you're watching this and you aren't familiar. And last year they had a tremendous year. July, they had a record breaking sales. They did about 144% year over year increase, bringing in about $17 million in July 2020, according to Stock News. Tell us a little bit, Erick, about how you're extending the shelf life of your images.
One thing that we need to consider is, you know, thank you for bringing that up, is the usage of the assets. Sometimes we just think that we're just going to take this image for Instagram, or we're going to take this video and put it on YouTube. But people don't realize that you're able to divide certain assets into multiple, I would say, posts. And so one thing that I recommend is obviously video is a thing right now, but what people don't realize is that if you were to make a video for YouTube, you can also slice the video out and then have that as a podcast. And then if you can slice the podcast out, you can have like 5, 15 seconds to a minute bite-sized pieces out of that, both of which you can use back on Instagram or on your other social channels. So it becomes, you know, one asset that you created for maybe take you 2 hours, but the delivery of that can actually have like multiple, probably 5 to 10 assets out of that, including just, you know, copy of what you were saying. A lot of the time we have great conversations like this in which something great is mentioned and you just want to highlight that. You're able to create a post out of that, and there goes another piece of content that you will be able to market to your audience and educate them, you know, on your journey as an entrepreneur, as an educator as well, if you're into that also.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, you know, how you can, you know, extend your content and multiple verticals is, you know, super important. And, you know, we've seen, you know, a lot of Instagrammers coming over to TikTok. And I think, you know, platform, you know, just business diversification, platform diversification is super important. And, you know, you and I were talking about just like, you know, thinking about yourself as a consultant too, you know, and how can you as a creator, you are providing a service. And so how do you extend that service? And I would love for you to talk a little bit just about courses, because I think that's a huge trend in our space. And you know, you are a subject matter expert in your area and your followers follow you for that reason. There's a lot of people who want to be, you know, a photographer. Like how, you know, talk a little bit about just that.
You hit it right on the nail. And to add to what Aliza was saying, she said, you know, build your email base. And that's so important as a creator. You want to be able to own your own marketing and own your own funnel. Keywords that are popping up to me are like, you know, the marketing funnel. All these creators are finally understanding that there's a marketing funnel and there's a consumer journey. And once you're able to understand that, then you're able to create packages out of your own leverage. So me as a, you know, photographer who focuses on levitation photography, for example, I'm actually working on a course for levitation photography. And the great thing that I'll actually give you guys some tips on this is, if you create a course, make sure to also create freebies to give to people as hooks. And these are also low cost producing but high value ROI, return on investment. So maybe like a free template for something, for like a, you know, a deck or a presentation. Things like this can be gifts to your followers, but then once they sign up to your website, in return, you're able to have them as potential customers. And it's a win-win situation that you have there. And also, you know, besides creating courses, you can also create subscription models like on Patreon and on all these other websites that are popping up, which are also great to create, you know, constant content and also to engage on a more personal level with your audience. Sometimes I get a lot of questions of how do you do this? How do you do that? So I'm able to answer those questions if they subscribe to a Patreon or something. So I highly recommend looking into it.
Just to add to that for a second, I think it's really important for all creators to really think through this idea of starting as you mean to go, because everything Erick just said is like feeding the content beast, right? So you kind of have to really map out how much can you produce? At what frequency? Where are you putting these things? What are the extra add-ons that people are going to pay for? Because once you commit, it is a little bit like getting on a hamster wheel, and then you're not getting off. So you have to be able to like trust that you have thought through what that cadence is.
Yeah, because once you drop a product, you need to be consistent. And so that's also really important. And I've talked to creators who've tried, Podia or, Patreon or some of these other channels, and they start it and then they stop it. And, that's also not a good tactic because you want to make sure your customers are coming back and they can trust you for consistency. But I love, what some creators are doing. Well, they'll tease a little bit on their Instagram, and then if you want to consume everything, you have to pay for it. And I think that's, really clever, because you pay for Netflix, you pay for Amazon. Why not do it for creator content? And come to you, Lisa, because, influencer private collections have been trending for some time. And I think it's a great way for, someone like you, who is a subject matter expert in fashion and styling, to then extend your brand to Amazon. Talk to us about, Amazon Drop, how they approach you. I think you're on collection number 3?
Yeah, I did 2 successful collections, but I'll take it back a notch. As a model, because I modeled consistently for 12 years for different designers, and specifically as a fit model. So I really absorbed, I'm just one of those people that's like a sponge of information. I really absorbed a lot of information. I have a strong, background in fashion. So for me, it's kind of like preparation meeting opportunity, because, as an influencer and as a content creator, you think you have this power, like the selling power, but you don't really, you can see it with your affiliates, you can see it with the ROI, but I think for me, when Amazon approached me with this, and I was one of the first to do it, this business model of theirs, which is creating your own collection and dropping it for only 30 hours, which is kind of daunting in itself, and no pressure there, but yeah, for me, I just kind of feel like it was preparation meeting opportunity, because I really always have wanted my own thing, but I kind of was like, is it going to sell? You never know. When they approached me, I had a really good relationship with one of the women that created it, which is great for content creators to always develop great relationships in the space. Relationships are everything to me. And things might not come up tomorrow, but in years from now, you can that same person might be creating something fabulous, and they will call upon you because you've developed this strong, friendship and relationship, and they trust you. So she knew my background, she knew everything about me, and we just had a really strong relationship. But I was one of the only ones that had less followers. So I think the expectation was that it wasn't really going to do as well as some other girls. But in the first day, pretty much the 10-piece collection sold out. So given that success, we went on to a second collection, but this time it's for staples, which has more longevity. So it's available for more like 6 months to a year. So I'm really grateful for the opportunities, but also always thinking about different ways to, like you said, have revenue streams, and always trying to tap into, that power of selling and the power of, affiliates, and always owning your own things. I'm a true believer of my blog is mine, and I really have never neglected it, and will always have that as something that I really put at the forefront of my space. So
I actually love that you said you've never neglected it, because it's so easy when there's a new shiny object, AKA platform, to sort of like turn your attention and migrate away. But I think that is so key, and probably one of the true reasons for your success, because you've owned that audience and you've nurtured that audience, and then you sort of build upon that. I just want to add, the Amazons of the world are obviously amazing partners, but there's other ways to also build direct-to-consumer brands. There's a company called Genflow, which is projected to have $100 million worth of brands for creators like Jordan Woods and Greg. I think the key to all of this is really understanding what the fine print in these contracts are to make sure that you keep control of your narrative and your brand and your distribution.
Yeah, for sure. And, I think, Lisa, in terms of things that you said, like was, really hitting home runs, the relationship is so important. And, being a micro influencer, you have a super engaged audience. I've been following you for years, and I think that's just a testament to that, no matter where you are in your creator journey, I think everyone always thinks that you have to be a mega influencer to have success.
100%, yeah.
That's not the case. There are opportunities for creators who are entering this market at rapid speed, at every scale, nano to mega. And so I think that's also exciting, and you're a great case study for a lot of people to, say like there's opportunities if you put in the work.
Well, it's definitely, I will say, a lot of work. I think the authenticity of your brand plays a key factor. I think no matter where you are in the spectrum, I think you should always hold that as something that's really important, to stay authentic, true to yourself, and just I really love engaging. It's called social media. I always get like perplexed why people don't socialize. I feel like these followers are my friends, and honestly, they've become my friends. And so for me, no matter where my business goes, I will always value relationships and relationships with my followers. And everything that I take on, I really take on a sense of they're my customers in a sense. And, you always have to think about, this is my fashion background, and you always have to think about the customer and the consumer and what are they going to want and what are they shopping for? And I'm always trying to tap into that. And I think some of the partnerships that I've had, the reason why we've had a strong ROI is because I've always thought about, is this going to sell? Do I have the selling power to actually sell this product? And if I don't, I really don't take it on, because it's just not worth it for me to ruin that relationship with my followers and my brand.
And I love, we've been talking, Lisa, about, the HBO fake followers, and this, you just hit it. Influencers influence real people to really convert, and that's just the reality of being a career creator versus someone who enters this market for, alternative purposes.
A lot of people had different reasons for doing it and different reasons for coming to the space. And some people just want to be popular, and that's great if that's your end game. But for me, I've always, since the beginning, I think I literally read a book about it while I was modeling, because I had both careers at the same time. I read a book about the business of being an influencer. And I think if you have a strong business mindset about it from the beginning, I mean, that doesn't change no matter where you go and no matter what you do. And I think you always have to have that, to have staying power, you always have to think about conversion rates. And for me, that's really what I think about most.
People forget that, influencing is a byproduct of the value that you're bringing to these people, and the real influencers are people who, as Qianna said, move markets and make purchasable decisions. And so you have to be able to stay on track with that mindset if you really want to be somebody successful with longevity, for sure.
And both of those points lead back to build a strong foundation. Don't focus on high rate growth with fake followers, because the conversions will not be there and the engagement will not be there. Yeah. So you have a vanity metric that makes you happy, but it means nothing. It's smoke and mirrors.
And vanity metrics, as we all know, are metrics of the old guard of social. I mean, the likes, they are not active actions. You need people to make that in-app purchase or click over to your website or head over to your Amazon drop page, right? And fake followers just can't do that. They can't watch a video and they can't share your content and advocate for you. And so I think that's also, all of those things are super important. And I think, just the way online shopping is moving and driving our business, you need people to to convert. And there's a great stat I want to throw out here. Online spending represented 21% of the total retail sales of the year, according to Digital Commerce 360. And Amazon accounted for nearly a third of all commerce in the United States, which is just huge. And it's not going to stop. It's just on the up and up. I think if we think about, brands like Revolve and other, private label businesses who've been, creator centric, there's just so much opportunity out there that, their creators just need to think big, especially in these COVID conditions. I would love to hear just about anything you guys done to pivot as we get to the closing remarks of our session.
I have something. I'd like to touch upon the business vertical analysis that I just got into approximately 2 years ago when I realized, the space was becoming saturated. I realized that I needed to add to my toolkit. And I saw that, as a photographer, not only are you, sometimes we focus solely on our art, or like if you're a fashionista, you only focus on your fashion. But as you said, adding the educational side, adding the verticals such as like funnels, which is like an easy thing, once again, for everybody watching. If you're able to create, something that pays you while you're sleeping, I think like that's gotta be key, especially now, because we see the growth of the influencer marketing grow. It's only gonna get harder. So if you don't build right now, you're really missing out on perhaps the golden era of of building your system before it gets too saturated, And so yeah, do it authentically and always bring something of value to the table. I think authenticity will forever remain the most valuable asset that we have. And that's important now more than ever.
Just to add to that, I think that one of the things I caution everyone always about is this idea of building the perfect plan. And by the time you've built the perfect plan, somebody else has already done it 3 times. So being quick and nimble and testing things and not being afraid for things not to work, but the key is speed and getting it out into the market fast before anyone else does is really the goal.
That's a really good point too, but also taking a risk. I think people are afraid to like change it up, and like for me, I studied fashion. Obviously, that's always going to be something, but I'm interested in so many other things. And I think joy, happiness, I love fitness and health, and I love all those things. And I think as an influencer and a content creator, you can create these things that is more of a lifestyle instead of just being so, this is all I do. And, it's great to be niche, but in this world, in this economy, I think you have to kind of broaden and figure out different ways that you can, bring in different revenue streams. And I think you're always trying to think of new things. And I think that's like a really good point, is trying to think outside the box and taking the risk. It's better to take the risk and fail than not taking it at all. That's my piece of advice for everyone.
Yeah, just fail fast is
fail fast. I love that.
I also would love to see a lot more collaboration amongst our community. I think we all have such unique talents that, when creators do collaborate, it just explodes. I think of just, some of the Kylie Jenner cosmetic partnerships. When she brings her friends in, those collections sell out. And so it's also just thinking about who's in your network too, and what are some of the commonalities you have that you can introduce a product or, something limited edition, or put out an ebook. Ebooks in COVID conditions are just, booming right now.
Now you're talking about like high level advertising, like industry stuff. And I think that's where the influencer market is going, and we're starting to realize our power as creatives, our power in the market, and our power to lead purchases, and I think the advertising world is still a little bit slow in catching up, I must say. I think creators still take a very low budget in comparison to where the majority of the ad spend goes. But I think in the next 5 to 10 years, there's going to be a drastic shift because you're going to realize the value that we creators bring to the table. So I'm excited. I think there's a lot more collaboration that's going to happen, and hopefully more money funneled into the market for us to be able to make that happen and get paid for it.
And as we are about to wrap up, just one thing, it's March that you're excited about, looking towards the future of this space as an entrepreneur. Maybe you can go around and that's how we'll kind of close it out.
I'll start. I'm in the process of building out something that is community-based and learning-based. And I think at the end of the day, one of the things that we all have to remember as creators is we need to pay forward what we've learned along the way to ones who are coming up in the industry, because this is now an industry, and Lisa's a full-time creator. I'm more of a hybrid model, but I think we have to remember that we're learning on the go, and it's initiation by fire, and anything we can teach people who are behind us is a gift.
I love that you say that, because even when I was starting, there was like no information and no one was giving it freely, trust me. So I really try my best to give it freely, just because I treat others the way I want to be treated. And I just feel like, why not? For me, it's like good karma. So it only benefits you in the long run. I'm really excited to partner with brands now on more of a long-term basis. For me, it's not about just this one-off sponsorships. For me, it's like more of a long-term partnership, and things that I'm working on right now are just secret, so I can't really talk about, but I'm really excited to just keep creating and just kind of, doing my thing and just kind of coming up with different ideas to benefit the viewers, the followers. So
awesome.
I think I'm going to steal Aliza's goal as well. In my opinion, now more than ever, as we're understanding our value as creatives, it is imperative for us to work and be open about our business and how we go about it, because it's such a young model and there's a high volatility of failure. There's a lot of people charging $20,000 a post, and then people with the same followers are charging like $500 a post. And so that discrepancy in the market,
it's crazy.
It can really bring us down as a whole market. So understanding the value, being able to teach people what their leverage is, being able to teach people and communicate to them what their power as creatives are, their niche are. Sometimes we don't charge for our niche, sometimes we don't charge for a lot of these other, all these kind of different things. So yeah, understanding your value and understanding your business as an entrepreneur while working together, I think that's the best way to go about it.
It's about educating the brands too, because unfortunately they just don't know, and they're relying on us to give out these numbers, or your manager to give out these numbers that sometimes I'm like, where are these numbers coming from? So I think it's educating. Again, it's going off of Aliza. It's like education is key, and I think just giving it freely, I think would be so amazing in the space.
I think this is one of the things that the American Influencer Council is doing really, really well. Like Qianna, the Resource Hub is a wealth of information. And if you're a creator and you're watching this and you have not gone to the American Influencer Council site, grab your coffee or your cocktail and go spend a few hours on it.
Yeah, and learn, Erick Lee is co-chair of our Learning and Development Committee. We spent a lot of time putting together lunch and learns and webinars talking about these issues, because, creators need more knowledge, and knowledge sharing like we're doing right now is just the way to push our industry forward. And I think, tapping into the fandom, you have people who followed you for years. How do you get them excited? People will keep on from, Instagram to your blog to Amazon. They're going to keep on following you. So, recognize your fandom. Thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. We hope we recharged your entrepreneurial ingenuity, and you're ready to think about new revenue streams and diversification. And I'm Qianna, and we're signing off.
Thanks, Qianna. Thanks,
That's
everyone.
enough. Thank you so much as well.